Hey everybody, Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum and Group, and Hometown Heroes. It's Tuesday at 10 or shortly after, and it's the Three Musketeers today.
It is, just the three of us. So
let's kick it off. What are we going to talk about?
I never would have believed that a train derailment in Ohio and a police officer getting killed in Pennsylvania could cause our show to not have a guest today. But we were going to have Jimmy Polizzani on, and Jimmy's the spokesperson for the police department, and he's going to Ohio with 40,000 bottles of water. That's where they had that train derailment.
Right.
And then the former police chief of Fort Worth, Chief Fitzgerald, his son got murdered the other night.
Yes.
He was an
Tragedy.
officer.
Yeah.
He got killed. So our hearts, our thoughts and prayers are going out to the Fitzgerald family and to all the men and women who wear the badge that protect
And
us.
Jimmy does the Fallen.
Yes,
Brotherhood for the Fallen.
Brotherhood
Mhm.
of the Fallen.
Right.
So he'll be representing the police department and the Brotherhood for the Fallen. So he's a busy guy.
Oh yeah.
But we'll reschedule Jimmy. But today we just wanted to kind of talk. Every show we talk about roll call.
Right.
But we wanted to kind of dig in a little deeper and kind of show you some of the stuff that we do at roll call. And tell us how we've been in existence since about 2014 or so.
2014. A gentleman named Kevin Bolt had the idea to take a group of World War II veterans to lunch. Let them get together, let them talk, have some camaraderie. So the very first photo that we have that Kevin had given me probably about almost a year ago was of the 15 original
Wow.
veterans that attended that lunch. And they got together, they got to chat and visit. And as time went on, of course, as we do, right, we tell other people about it. Hey, why don't you come out and join us? Come out and join us. And eventually it got much larger.
Several hundred.
Yeah, it got to be pretty big.
And then from there, they met there for a little while, and they had some problems with the facility.
Yeah, so they started, from my understanding, they started at Spring Creek Barbecue. They moved over to the water park in White Settlement. And that's where they were having the luncheons when they got a little bit bigger and they couldn't meet at the barbecue restaurant anymore. So they moved over to the water park. And that's where they started to have some problems with the facility and everything else. And one of the original members, Bill McIntyre, he happened to go to church at Birchman, and he said, well, I think I know where we can go. And that's how we ended up at Birchman.
And so we've been there ever since. We're having a little technical.
We're having reverb.
Oh,
Mute.
try to turn it off. Okay.
We've got one of our technicians is here and the other one is out medical leave.
You still getting the.
So just so y'all will know, this show doesn't just happen with the three of us. It has lots of people involved and time. So when we're a man down, we make do.
That's right.
Keep talking, Mary. We'll get this. We'll get.
Okay, so we've been meeting at Birchman, I think, since 2016. And the pastor there, Bob Pearl, he has just been fabulous. He's like, I don't want you guys to leave. We get pretty big, and all of a sudden we're not able to fit in the hall anymore. And he finds a new and creative way to get us in there so that we don't have to lose out any people. At one point, we had to actually purchase some extra tables and chairs just so we could get everybody in the hall, because we went from, imagine this, original 15, and now this month we have 480 signed up, and last month we had about the same. So the hall gets very full.
Does the minister show up for the luncheons?
On occasion he does, but I think that's his day off, isn't it?
It's his day off
Yeah,
on Fridays, so.
You imagine he has a pretty busy
Oh,
weekend.
yeah.
But his staff, so he doesn't charge us anything for the facility, which is really just amazing to think of. He thinks this fellowship and this camaraderie is so important that he does not want us to have to pay for the location. What we raise funds for is so that we can pay for the food. And the caterer, Brenda, she has a catering company, Heavenly Catering, and she works right out of the church. She goes to church at Birchman, she works right out of the church, and she and her team of volunteers prepare all of the food. They're there the Thursday before getting ready. The church crew is there, and sometimes if they need a little help, we'll send in a little bit of help, but they'll set up all of the tables and chairs. They put out all the tables. They really do all the work, and we pay. The money that we raise goes to paying to cover the cost of the lunch. And she does a great job at keeping it at $10. Occasionally, we have to raise it. She's going to do something a little different. We have to raise it to maybe 12. But we continually are able to pay for the luncheons through the donations that we get. It's really amazing.
So the veterans don't have to pay, but anybody, like if a veteran's family comes, they pay $10 a meal, right?
We ask that they donate $10 toward, or contribute $10 toward the cost of the
Right.
food. Exactly, because that way then we're not spending those donated funds that we get to cover the cost of the meals for the vets, because we never want a veteran to pay for their lunch.
Right,
So
right.
there are many that will still toss a 10 in the bucket, but what we ask is that we're giving veterans a free lunch, and we're going to show you a video here in a little bit, and it'll kind of talk more to it. But the reality is, the least that we can do is buy them a lunch every month.
Sure.
And by doing that, and by asking the non-vets to contribute toward the cost, we're not using funds that we get as donations to cover the folks that are not veterans. And we really haven't had occasionally, and if there's somebody who just says, I can't, I don't have it, I can't chip it in, then that's fine, come on in and we'll feed you anyway.
And
It's
so
not a
any of
problem.
our listeners, businessmen that say, hey, I want to throw a $100 bill in there, then they can go to what's the website?
roll-call.org.
And make a donation
They
there.
absolutely can, and $100 feeds 10 vets.
Yeah, and so we need that, business people. And it is a 501c.
Absolutely,
So,
501c3.
To heck with 100, let's throw 1,000 in there.
And on the donation site, you can do a one-time donation, or you can do a recurring donation.
yeah.
So if you want to take a vet out for lunch, just $10 a month, and you can
yeah.
provide a meal for that veteran.
That is a great idea.
And it's worked well. We've got, how many
has.
people are we going to have at this?
This luncheon, 480.
Oh my.
Yeah.
We're busting at the seams. That's a
We-
good problem to
All
have.
the time.
It's the hottest ticket in town.
You should have
isn't it?
seen it last month. Oh my goodness, we had people all over the place. It was crazy.
What if people just want to volunteer to clean up or something?
If they want to volunteer, they can go to our website, same website, roll-call.org, fill out a volunteer form. We have a volunteer coordinator. He's been with us for probably 3 or 4 months. Steve Gross,
He was on the
here
show.
Yeah,
on
Steve
the
was
show.
here, yeah.
And boy, is he is just
He's
doing,
involved in it. You
he
can
is
tell.
doing a
he's,
fabulous
He's one of those
job.
guys that you think,
He's a spark plug.
man, he had a lot of responsibility out there with LAPD. Plus, he was doing his reserve stuff, and he knows how to organize and
You
motivate
can
people.
tell he's really involved
Yeah,
in this and wants to be.
And his
Yeah.
whole family is just servants like that. His,
Sure.
his wife and daughter, they're both military.
His son too.
Yeah, his son. Hey, can we play that video in a minute, Tyler? And we've got a video that it'll kind of show you a little bit about roll call and show one of our meetings. And
y'all usually have a speaker, right? At
Every
these-
luncheon we have a speaker.
yeah, and
Yep.
this month it's going to be.
Well, so we had to have a little change of plans.
We're flexible.
We are flexible, if nothing, right? So our speaker, who was here on one of our, he was one of
Yeah.
our first shows,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Randy Nance. He
Yeah,
was the
amputee.
one that was
Yeah.
an amputee on
Yeah,
one leg.
right.
And Randy, and I don't know if Randy's watching from his recovery that he's going through, but Randy doesn't know the word stop, slow down, anything like that. And he went skiing and fell and injured himself.
Oh.
And so he's going to have surgery.
Mm.
And so he is not going to be able to be with us in February. So we had Jack Stowe scheduled in March. So what we did was we moved Jack up to February, and Randy's going to do March.
Jack's a World War II veteran.
Jack is World War II, and actually said that would work better for him in his schedule because he's not sure he was going to be able to be here in March. So, I think it's a God thing, right? Things always happen the way they're supposed to. And so now Jack will be World War II veteran, will be our guest in February, and then Randy will be our guest in April. And then, in March, and then in April, Bill Parker, who is a World War II vet out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, will be coming in. And we still working on May, and it looks like we have confirmed that we will have a Tuskegee Airman, one of the less
Thumbs
than
up.
10 remaining Tuskegee Airmans, Dr. Eugene Richardson. He is going to be our speaker in June.
Super. Hey, while we're sitting here talking, everybody gets these alerts. It's about Jimmy
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Channel 8. It's
Yeah.
talking about him delivering the 40,000 bottles of water.
That's a lot of bottles of water.
That's a
Isn't it?
lot of, 40,000 bottles of water. We gave away that many. We gave away 45,000 bottles of water in 2020 right across the
And
street.
thousands of rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, and thousands of rolls of toilet paper and paper towels.
That was a big push that Larry made whenever we had COVID and you couldn't get toilet paper and
We had
water.
Pat Green. We had several country singers. Pat Green was here. We were supposed to have George Strait, but something came up. He didn't make it. But yeah, that's the whole community. These shows like this is bringing our community together,
It is.
and that's what it's going to take.
And one thing, our shows become a platform too for other nonprofits to come on
Sure.
and help get their message out. you
Sure.
know.
I've noticed that people are posting on y'all's group, my group. That helps.
Good.
These platforms help to get the message out, and that's what it's going to take is for everybody getting together and doing what you can. And there's plenty of causes out there, plenty of organizations you can help with the homeless, the veterans, the needy. We got it all right here in Fort
We
Worth,
do.
the 12th largest city, and
Yeah.
so thank God we've got groups like this that come on and help.
And
Yeah.
let's play that video, Tyler. This is a video that I think this is the one that was made a couple of years ago.
A man who is good enough to shed his blood for this country is good enough to be given a square deal afterwards. And that's exactly why, here at Roll Call, we've made it our mission to honor and serve our local veterans by providing a regular venue for fellowship, camaraderie, outreach, and sharing their stories through community engagements and publications. Each month, we come to grip with this amazing experience as so many veterans of all wars and ages are gathered in one room together. It is something that cannot be adequately described with words, but only experienced. This is our way of giving back.
And that was our video we made. We just had a group from Austin just walk in one day, didn't they?
Now, I wasn't there that day, but
With
that's
the-
what I understand.
With
Yeah.
some cameras and made that video for us. And they put it on like the next day. I thought, man, that's quick. But that tells you, it just shows you a little bit about how the meetings run.
Right.
And, there's so many veterans that show up early. I mean, just as soon as the door is open,
Oh,
they're
they're there
waiting.
at 9:30 in the morning. If you're not there by 11 o'clock in the morning, you're going to, have a really hard time parking. You're going to have to park a long way away. The parking lot is big enough, though, thank
Oh, yeah.
goodness, that it can hold all the cars. But yeah, by 11 o'clock in the morning, that place is pretty much full. If you are trying to get a certain place to sit, you're going to have some buddies get there early and,
You'll notice
snag you some tables.
You notice a lot of those veterans sit with the same guys, so it's like, well, they're catching up for the month.
Right.
And there's some of them that talk a lot, and there's some of them that just sit there and soak it up.
Right.
You know,
What time does it start?
it starts we start at 11:30.
And so how long do people sit around and talk?
About an hour
At
and a half.
least. Yeah,
They'll start showing up.
They seriously are showing up at 9:30 in the morning just so that they can get together and visit. And they always ask, "Do you need help with anything?" So we've got a couple that put up our flags and everything. They just come in and start putting flags up and setting things out that we would normally do.
That's good.
And they just walked in the door and just start doing it. But that's because they feel an ownership. You know,
Sure.
I tell people we're a family, and that's the truth. We're a family. It's
Sure.
like you're just going to mom's house for dinner and, you know, see if you need any help. But they're helping, they're visiting, you know, they're holding the door open, helping the vets that need a little assistance get in the door, whatever they can do. But they just want to be together, and they know that if they get there early, then they can do their visiting, and they can still have time to eat and have the program, and they don't have to worry about trying to visit after the fact. So they get there early and they visit.
Is
It's
there
great.
any of these anywhere else besides here?
No, there's a lot of groups that do different events. There's some groups that'll do a breakfast or a lunch. I know that I think it's the Metroplex Marines, don't they
do
get
a
together
monthly luncheon,
monthly? But you know
It's
that's
40 or 50 people.
yeah, and that's specific to the Marines, and this group's specific to people that live in this area or that area. I don't know of another one that does it on the scale that we do it.
It seemed like y'all could branch out. I mean, not y'all, but
Yeah.
invite people in that have the wherewithal to do it in other cities.
We have worked on that, and we have had a couple of folks that reached out to us and said that they wanted to do that in their cities, and we've offered them. We've written up a guidance book that tells them exactly how to do it, and they can use roll call. They can be another chapter of roll call. It
Sure.
won't cost them anything. We will give them all the tools they need to be successful. We'll help them get started, but they have to have their own board, and you know, if they need some help with the initial luncheon or two, that we'll help them with that, but then they'll have to do their own fundraising and everything. It'll be their entity, they'll be able to use the roll call name. And the couple that I've had got as much as saying, you know, well, yeah, we should have our board together by the next month, and then I don't hear from them again.
Well, with your show like y'all show, then other people will start seeing it, and yeah, that ought to work.
Yeah, because I think you could do this. You know, I've envisioned, you know, we should have a roll call in Waco, and we should have a
Sure.
roll call in
San Antonio.
San Antonio, Wichita Falls. There's veterans
Everywhere.
in these pockets where they're just a huge veteran population.
Sure.
And certainly it would be great if we could get some of these other chapters going. So that would be really great. But, you know, if anybody is watching and you do want to do this, please reach out, let us know. We had some interest in Denton once, and that fell apart. We had interest in, where was it?
In North Carolina.
Abilene.
Abilene.
It was Abilene.
And Steve had a group in North Carolina, I think.
Yep.
that was interested. But you asked about what time it starts. At 11:30, Roy, he's sitting over here. He's one of our board members, and he arranges to have the color guard come in, somebody to say the prayer, the pledge, and then the national anthem. Somebody sing that. So at 11:30, they have a couple of little announcements, and then they post the colors. And that's amazing to see, because you have all these veterans either saluting or with a hand over their heart while they're posting the colors. We have somebody sing the national anthem. Sometimes it's Don Graves, or
yeah.
Al Chatwin. He's another World War II vet that is a good singer. Or this week we're going to have Brad Thompson. He's a local musician, and he's kind of come in, and he really likes it. You know, he's not a veteran, but he likes to sing the national anthem and that Lee Greenwood's song about God Bless
the
America.
USA.
God bless the USA. And that's something, too, when he starts playing that, and everybody
really
gets into it.
emotional.
But then after that, after we do the national anthem and prayer, and then they get the colors all posted, then they start serving the luncheon. And after about 30 minutes,
Well, really about 20.
well, no, I mean, that's when we start the actual program.
About noon.
About
right?
noon, we'll
Right.
start the actual program. But it only takes just a few minutes to have the meals out on the table to all those veterans.
Yeah, we don't have them get up and go through a line.
Yeah, they don't.
They're
they
sitting at
just
the
sit-
table, and their drinks are brought to them by volunteers. Their food is brought to them by volunteers, and I've said it 100 times, we have the most amazing volunteers anywhere. They love on these folks. We have a couple of folks that always want a soda, and the luncheon we have tea and water, but there is a soda machine in the church, and it has canned sodas for 50 cents. And so I know occasionally Jack, one of our volunteers, he'll always bring quarters, but once in a while he forgets, and so he'll always come grab me. I always have some change in my car, and so I'll go grab as many quarters as I need for him to go buy however many sodas people that are sitting around that would really prefer a soda. He goes to the machine and he gets it and brings it to them.
Sure.
And our volunteers put that food on the table, and these are a lot of times are young kids.
Some of them are little kids, like
Some of
Brenda's
'em,
Brenda's granddaughters, you know.
Yeah, sometimes they're
5 or 6 years
Yeah,
old.
5, 6, 8 years old.
We have
But-
high school groups that come too.
That's great.
We have the Granbury Stars. It's an accelerated high school, accelerated learning academy. And they come usually a couple of times a year, bring anywhere from 50 to 30 people. And these kids are just amazing. They come, they get there in time to make sure the meals are all served, and they don't leave until the last chair is up and the floor is swept and the lights are turned out.
Wow.
And they love to talk to the vets. We love when the Stars folks come from Granbury.
And we have some of those volunteers that come every month and have since, I guess we moved to Birchmond, that are there every month
Right,
to serve.
right.
So just a lot of great people and so much support from not only the community but from Birchmond itself, you know, because
Yeah, that's fantastic.
they've really been a blessing to open their doors to roll call.
Yes, they have.
So
What's the lady's name that caters it? She's got
Brenda.
a business.
Brenda Linhart,
Yes, now she's
almost
she,
heaven,
she
almost heaven catering.
yeah, she loves doing what she's doing, and she's not looking to branch out a whole big thing because she just loves to do.
She's kind of starting to
church.
retire.
Yeah.
But Brenda, she and I have known each other since about the 7th grade.
Wow.
And, you know, we went to school together, we went to church together, we went on all the youth trips together. And then after high school, she and I worked at the same place at Harvest Seed Company down on 7th Street by Montgomery Ward. But never in my wildest imagination would I have ever thought that Brenda Linhart would be cooking for hundreds and hundreds of people.
Right.
And she's got a
It's
great
amazing.
crew, does a great job, and she did the reception at my daughter Abby's wedding. Just magnificent food, and it was just beautiful arrangement that Ina Allman, one of the ladies that helps every week, she put all this stuff together. But Brenda and her team do a great job, and we just really appreciate
Yeah,
them.
the food is good. And, you know, people are like, yeah, you go to these luncheons, the food is really kind of second rate. No, the food is good. They really do a nice job. And our desserts are provided by either every other month. They alternate Town Village Crossing out of Arlington and Ridgemar Place here in Fort Worth. And they're owned by the same company, Pegasus. It's a senior living community, independent living, and they bring the desserts every month.
Along with a lot of veterans.
Along with, yes, each of them brings veterans, and we always set up tables for their vets, because a lot of times they're in wheelchairs, so we like to put them someplace where they're not, you know, they're not going to have trouble getting in
Sure.
and out and everything. So we think really, we're very, very thoughtful about where we put these groups that we know will be coming in with a number of wheelchairs or walkers, whatever the case might be. So it's really something to see. We've got Vic, who comes from Pleasant View Baptist Church, and I tease him all the time because I tell him he's the best bus driver out there. So Vic, if you're watching, because I know you do, I'm calling you out here. But last month he pulled up, and I think he said he had 40. He had to go from the van to the bus.
People mover, yeah.
Because they're all coming out of that that south side of Arlington out there, and they're coming from Mansfield and Arlington and all in that area. And they pile on the bus. He tells them what time to be at Pleasant View Baptist Church. They park their cars. They hop on the bus. He brings them to the lunch, drops them off right at the door, and they have they always sit on one side of the room. We know where they're going to be sitting, and they're just really wonderful.
And so Roy is here. He brings a portable mobile museum.
And I was thinking today, maybe some Saturday we can just kind of have a special deal down here.
Oh yeah.
And have people come to see the museum.
Yes.
I'm volunteering you for that.
Yeah, well, we have to work that out with Dave Warwick. So Dave was a board member. He is now back in school, so he stepped down from being on the board, but he still has the mobile museum actually on his property, and he tows it wherever it needs to go. So he's wonderful. He also runs our website, and he's still doing that. I've known him since 2012. We've been friends and worked together and in the Air Force, and he's wonderful. And then Roy comes, and sometimes we have another helper, Ricky, who will come out, and he'll help
Who we
Roy.
met one time at Omaha's whenever we had the World War II vets down there. Brad and Charlie. They about once a year we'll go down there, take some World War II vets. They'll have coffee and donuts. The vets will sit there, and their customers will come and meet them.
That's the best place you can ever go to.
But it's Omaha's military surplus on Whitmore. And Brad and Charlie, their family, is a tremendous supporter of Roll Call.
The Williams family, yeah, I've known them for 40 years.
But while we're talking about the museum, and we accept donations too,
Right.
for military memorabilia.
Rick's starting to lose his voice. Yep, we
Wearing
absolutely
jobs.
do. So for folks out there that have some military memorabilia that is their family. So what we put in the museum is local veterans, mostly, their stuff. So when people come through that museum, and it's a small trailer, it's not huge, but and you can't miss it. It's definitely wrapped, and you can see the roll call from everywhere. But if folks have stuff, you don't know what to do with it. You don't want to just toss it. You don't want to take it someplace and have it be misused, whatever the case might be. Then we're happy to take that stuff, and we will put it in the museum, because Roy determines what he's going to put in there based on maybe it's a different era of service he wants to put in, or a branch, or whatever. So he'll decide before the luncheon what we're going to feature, and then that's what he puts in the museum.
Yeah, because I tell people all the time, they say, well, I've got some stuff up in the closet in a shoebox. It's the same way. When you go, that stuff's going to the dumpster.
Yeah.
The kids, they're out.
Yeah,
So, and that's a shame.
it is.
Yeah, so, and Roy asked me the other day, does people not bring you military stuff? They just don't. I don't know why. I don't really get that much donated. I buy, everything that comes in is owned by Fort Worth Memories. There's nothing on loan. So, but there's a lot of stuff that I've told Roy before. Amon Carter Sr. had all of these helmets, General Patton's helmet, Eisenhower's hat, because he knew all of these people. He had Montgomery's helmet, or Montgomery's hat, whatever he had.
Right.
But I don't know where that collection is. He had a collection of military brass, their helmets. Nobody seems to know. So.
And you're right about a lot of times families will have that stuff in their closet, and whenever they pass away, nobody knows.
Oh, it just goes in the trash.
Because we've got some uniforms that Susan and I had when we were in the Army, and she's got some WAC uniforms from the Vietnam era. And I was talking to Roy about that. I don't think the kids are ever going to want some of that stuff. So we might make a donation.
It's best to do. Whenever you start thinking about your will, you need to think about all of your memorabilia, your stuff was important to you, because it's probably not going to be important to the kids and the grandkids. It's going to the dumpster.
And that mobile museum is a great way to teach, because we take it around to different places.
Sure.
Take it to schools.
Yeah, Roy said he's been in schools and
let the kids, because one of our outreaches is to schools,
Right.
to take our veterans there so people can meet them and hear their stories, especially these children. So
yeah, that would be good. I'm going to be involved with the Fort Worth ISD, the new location, and I'd like to get that mobile deal out there too, because I'm going to put some of my stuff out there. It's the new old Neiman Marcus deal.
it's right around the corner from our house. And
Yeah.
across the street's where Taylor Sheridan's doing all his movie stuff.
Oh yeah, you go by there and there's trailers out there. They're building sets around the clock.
They are. But, our community outreach and involvements is a big part of it too, because we take a lot of our vets to different events, especially the World War II veterans. But, a lot of our vets get to go to baseball games, football games, and didn't they took them to motocross?
We
deal.
did motocross a couple of years, yeah. And I think that Bob Sparenberg was trying to work on it again for this year. I don't know that we got anywhere, but we've taken them at least 2 years, because I've got pictures with when Fisk Hanley and BJ Shepard and Carmen Giese, and at the motocross, they would put them up on the stage with the Monster Girls. So you can imagine the Fisk Hanleys and all these guys
Don
with the Monster Energy Girls, and they're up on the stage, and I mean the crowd goes crazy. Just when they're recognized, it's absolutely amazing. And they get up on stage, and the girls are hugging on them, and they get to take pictures with the girls. It gets them so excited. They just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they've done a lot of stuff. We've taken them, the Wings Over Dallas, the Air Show, Hops and Props. We've had different era vets out at that. We've had them everywhere. Anywhere that they're
take them
invited,
to a lot of
we'll take
galas
'em.
too, because a lot of these organizations would like to have some World War II veterans there, and so we'll escort them there and take them there to the Armed Forces Bowl luncheon the day before. They provide a table for us for our World War II vets.
Where is the air show going to be this year?
This year's, I think it's going to be at Alliance, but next year it's going to be at NASJRB. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what I saw.
Because it's almost getting to be a problem up there at Alliance with all of the Amazon flying flights in and out.
Right. It's getting too crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've had to change a lot of what they do at that air show. So I think that's why the talk is about bringing it back.
And, along with the community involvement too, we're very involved with NASJRB, the Naval Air Station here in Fort Worth. And in April, we'll have our second annual joint roll call luncheon at NASJRB. Last year we had about 750 people.
That's the big one, isn't it?
That's the big one.
I think it was probably around 700.
Isn't it done in a hangar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the one I remember him talking about. But when the air show used to be always out here, 4 or 5 of my sons that were in Sea Cadets, they look so forward to that, to dressing up and performing there at the air show.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing too, or the children like your sons, with it being the Sea Cadets, because we have some of the Marines, the young Marines.
I had some in that
They
too.
come and do our flags, do the presenting of the colors. Also, a lot of ROTC units. And if you got a unit out there and you want them to get some exposure to roll call to our veterans and present the colors, just reach out to us, and Roy can get that lined up, because we'd love to.
Because
have-
that's with kids. When I know in the Sea Cadets and the young Marines, when they graduate, they have to get out. When
Yeah.
they're 18 or graduate. And one of my sons actually went to Fallon Air Force Base and did his basics when he was 15. And I said, "You're awful young to be doing basic training." And he said, "You can't do any of the fun stuff till you get that out of the way." And I said, "What's the fun stuff?" He said, "When I turn 16, I want my pilot's license and my driver's license." And it
He did,
happened.
huh?
And he came in the top 5 percentile of the country out at Fallon. And so they gave him his choice between a week in Hawaii or a week on a nuke sub, and he took the nuke sub, and it's unbelievable.
Wouldn't have been my choice.
It wouldn't have been mine either, but yeah, too.
He was serious about
Yeah,
the Navy.
yeah, and we also have a scouting troop that's been doing the colors a lot recently. And
Trailblazers or
again,
something?
yeah,
Is that what the
and-
name is?
Yeah, trail life, and that's really important too for scouts. So if you are out there and you're listening and you've got a junior ROTC or a scout troop that wants to do that as part of their community service, you can email us at the info@roll-call.org, and we'll be happy to get you all set up and get you out to do that, because it really is great. And they usually then will stick around and help serve the lunch. I mean, we always feed our volunteers. All of our volunteers get fed. The folks that post the colors, everything. We don't leave them out of that. So they'll get to actually eat lunch. But the first, they usually help us serve the lunch.
Sure.
So it's really good community involvement for them. And going back to the base, so in April, like Rick said, it's our second luncheon that we'll be doing on base, and Captain McLean, the skipper out there, has just been fabulous. We met again last week, and he's, as he kept talking through it, and he has some folks that he has that are going to work it, he kept coming up with bigger and bigger ideas for what he wants to do. So, but we anticipate we're probably going to be 800 to 1,000 people this year, because he wants to be able to invite some more of the base personnel as well. And during that, we will also have a presentation for about 4 or 5 of the base personnel that will be recognized via the Fort Worth Civic Leaders Group. So they're actually going to combine with us. Instead of doing a Civic Leaders Barbecue as they do every year, it's one luncheon, and they will actually take about 10 minutes to recognize folks that work there on base, military folks that actually have had a positive interaction in the community. So they'll be putting the guidance out on that. They'll be selecting those folks, and then the civic leaders will do their presentation during our luncheon. And it just really is neat, because he was already talking about the size of the cake and, making sure that the folks were there to help set up and tear down, and making sure that everything happened right, to include literally rolling out a red carpet. So
That'll be a
Yeah.
great event.
yeah, I think it's going to be really a lot of fun, and that one is going to be real critical how we handle it, because not everybody has access to the base. So if they don't RSVP for that lunch, and they're definitely not going to get to come to it, because they won't be on the access list to get onto the installation.
It worked so smoothly last
It
year.
did.
I couldn't imagine it running that smooth.
Yes.
But
You know that barbecue place that's at the end of the runway?
yeah,
It's closed. And
Right.
I had a realtor tell me that the base is going to take that over. Do you
I don't know.
That'd be a lot
They're
more room
they're
down
real
there.
critical about what goes on next to the base, because
They
I know-
might just be buying it just to block it off.
I know that just in the last year or so, the Fort Worth Air Power Council, and really General Pottinger, a retired general who was here, had to get kind of involved, because the city of Westworth Village, they've got this property that goes all the way up to the fence. And they were talking about building some apartments
Oh my
for
gosh.
senior adults right there at the fence, and it was something where there was a little oversight that they didn't know that you couldn't do that, and so we had to go to council meetings and say, hey, we need to do something else with that, because even whenever they started building stuff after the base closed and Westworth Village got all that property, You know, they had to move like where they loaded ammunition for the planes and things because they couldn't have it that close to people. But
Right.
I think that,
Right.
I remember now, I think the family that owns the property is gonna will it to the base.
yeah, yeah, and that'd
Because
be good.
that's a lot of room down there too. They used to have a farmer's market and
Yeah,
And a
it's a-
barbecue
it's a
place.
good sized facility, that's for sure.
And with the base, we do a lot of interaction with other civic organizations like the Fort Worth Air Power Council, the Air Power Foundation, Holidays and Heroes,
Yep.
doing the Christmas out there. And then there's just a lot of organizations that help support the base.
Right.
You know, through the Holidays and Heroes, we were able to fund 500 Thanksgiving meals for people at the base through the Tarrant Area Food Bank back around Thanksgiving. So there's just a lot of moving parts out
There
there
are.
of great people that do great work. And roll call, it's got a lot of moving parts.
Right.
I don't
and,
know.
and the April luncheon last year, actually, the Air Power Foundation also contributed. So they provided some support in terms of volunteers, but they actually helped fund
Some of the meals for the-
the meals for the folks that are actually the base members, so that we covered the cost of our roll call folks, and then they covered the cost for the military base personnel, and that really helped us out a lot because we're not. It takes a lot of money to put something that big on. You imagine that $10 a head, and for that luncheon it tends to be 12 because it
Yeah.
costs you a little bit more
Sure.
to bring this stuff out there. So it cost us last year $12 a head, and their help made it ease the burden on our budget so that we didn't have to wonder where are we going to make that up because that we didn't budget for it. It was something the skipper brought up in December the year before, and it actually came to fruition, which I told him I didn't think he was serious. And he said, "Oh no, I said
Oh,
that I
we'll
was
show out
serious."
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
While we're on the topic of civic, we've got a zoo vote going on with it's USA Today, Reader's Choice, Best Zoo in the United States. Now our group, Fort Worth Memories, actually won that thing for Fort Worth in 2020. Of course, we had everybody at home with COVID. 21, we came in second or third last year. It was a disaster. And they normally don't start it till April or May, but they kicked it off 2 or 3 days ago. So we're playing catch up. So anybody that's listening, if you go to Memories, and I'm going to post it on Hometown Heroes, how you can vote, and you can speed vote. People, when we won it for the city in 2020, Betsy came in and said, somebody said we cheated. And I said, well, we did. And she said, we did? And I said, Betsy, every city cheats. You clear your browser every time, and you can just. Yesterday, I voted 1,350 times,
Oh my goodness.
and we're still in 19th place.
Oh my goodness.
So go on any of the Fort Worth groups or Hometown Heroes, and you'll see the link to vote. And if you want to learn how to speed vote, I've got people that will call you or show you how. So we need your vote.
We'll be number one this year, Larry, I'm
We
sure.
need to vote, because I tell people when somebody that's in Omaha, Nebraska, they're a young family, and they say, well, where do we want to go? Let's go down to Fort Worth. They got Billy Bob's. They got all of these movies that are coming out. They got Ranger baseball, the best zoo in the country. So it makes a difference, and we need to get behind our city. There's not a lot of pride left. That's one thing about the military that I've always admired, is they instill pride in you. You're proud to be an American. You're proud to not be scared to say you're an American. There's some instances you can't say I'm an American. I mean, not me or y'all, but some people feel ashamed to say it, or not ashamed, or somebody might say something for standing up for your flag. I posted a picture of a house in 1941, and it had a big flagpole, an American flag, and one of our members made a comment and said, if they had an HOA in there then, you wouldn't have been able to fly that flag. And that's pitiful.
That could be
Probably
true.
wouldn't be allowed a flagpole.
yeah.
But you're right.
Yep. But before we run out of time, I want to make sure that we also recognize here today our board, because a lot of folks, there's a lot of organizations that do a lot of really great things, especially in this area for our veterans. And every group has a different mission. They have different things that they're working on. And for us, doing a monthly luncheon, a lot of folks do an annual event, and they do work all year to get to that event. Well, we do a monthly luncheon of 400 to 500 people. So it takes a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of effort by people that have to do things all month long leading up to the next month, and then we start all over again, right? So we're just not leading up to one event. And a big part of that is our board, and nobody on the board gets paid a penny. We don't have any paid staff. We don't have a building that we pay for. We don't have any of that stuff. The vast majority of every dollar that we get comes in to fund that luncheon and fund the activities of taking care of these vets. And our board consists of right now 9 people. So I am the president of the organization. Mark Donahue is the vice president, and he is a past president. And I think he's also, so he was a vice president, and he's a vice president. And then we have Dana Link, who is our treasurer, and boy, does he do a fabulous job. Holy cow. I don't know how he keeps up with things sometimes. And our new secretary, just for the last couple of months, is Kim Hinchin. And her husband, Jeff, is our fundraising chair. Rick, of course, does publicity. Roy is he's our military liaison. His real kind of thing is the museum and taking care of making sure that we have the folks in place for the beginning of the luncheon. And then we have Judy, and so Roy and Judy and Mark have been on the board the longest. I came in shortly after Roy. And Judy takes care of all the reception and reservations, or not reservations, the reception area. She has a list of folks, volunteers, that send out cards throughout the year. At the end of the year, we send out Christmas cards to everybody. So throughout the year, if we find out somebody's had a death or they're sick or anything of that nature, she's sending out sympathy and get well. And all. So she's got a team of volunteers that do this stuff all throughout the month. Then we have Steve Gross, who y'all met on the show as our volunteer coordinator. And who am I missing? Somebody. I always have to make a list to make sure I don't miss anybody. Am I not missing anybody?
I don't know. Let's see if we can.
But without the board doing what we do, we would not be able to put on this monthly luncheon.
Yeah, the people just don't realize my annual bike drive. Rick, you noticed when you went over to the bathroom, it's full of bikes. People are already bringing bikes for this year's giveaway. So it's a constant. People say, well, they just have a lunch once a month, and they don't realize it takes about 29 days in advance to get to that
right.
day.
Yeah.
So
there's not a day I'm not doing
and there's
something.
nobody gets any money for it, so it's
Right.
all out of the love of our hearts for our veterans, our kids, or whatever, because with it, we're responsible for all of our Tarrant County people, whether they're homeless, veterans, whatever, people that just down on their luck. We need to start showing love instead of hatred.
Yeah, I'm retired and I work more now than I did before I retired.
Sure.
And the board members, they take our veterans to a lot of different functions. And I know Mark and Roy are real good about going out and hunting down veterans. I mean, they'll stop somebody and say,
Don Graves to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, we're all over the place, but I just want to make sure that we didn't forget to mention that. And I know that we have that other video. Are we still going to try to show that one?
we're going to play it at the very end.
Okay.
And one of our fundraiser for this year is going to be a clay shoot in October. We're starting to work on that. It's going to be at Defender Outdoors out in Benbrook, and we're looking forward to a great time out there. We'll start having more information about the clay shoot, and tomorrow, it's February the 22nd, George Washington's birthday.
And Ash Wednesday.
And today's Fat Tuesday, isn't it?
It is.
But tomorrow is one of our oldest veterans' birthday, Ernie LaCroix. He's going to be 104 years old.
Wow.
And he was a pilot a B-25 pilot, and it flew out of North Africa. It flew to Sicily and France, 76 missions in a B-25.
That's a lot of
That's
missions.
a lot of missions. A lot of missions. Smoky Posse is the name of his airplane. And we're going to have a little gathering tomorrow. He's pretty frail, but tomorrow in Austin, Governor Abbott is going to make a proclamation for Ernie LaCroix Day in Texas, and his family's going to be down there. Ernie won't be able to make it. But, you know, history's a funny thing, because here's a guy that wasn't from Fort Worth, and he flew in the 310th Bombardment Wing, and now that wing, over the years, it was deactivated, reactivated, but that wing now is the 310th Space Wing out of Colorado Springs. Well, it happens to be under the umbrella of the 10th Air Force, which is headquarters at NASJRB. So hopefully we're going to have, we're talking to some of the people at the 10th Air Force to go be able to be a little gathering we're going to have tomorrow. So we've invited Colonel Duckworth.
Very good.
So
I'm sure he'll be there if he
We
can.
certainly
Yep.
hope he's there.
Yep.
I think hopefully Ann and Kevin Pottinger will be there, and there'll be a few more to kind of wish him happy birthday, because Ernie and I share birthdays. So
Yeah, Rick's getting up there. Tomorrow's his big day.
yeah, it's a big day. 70
Big
years
7-0.
old. That's old.
Ah.
Yeah, you look at somebody and you say, gosh, they're old. And you think, hell, I'm the same age.
I know it. I know. I went to my high school reunion and I thought, man, these people are old. But yeah, Ernie's birthday's tomorrow,
Yep.
and we just wish him a happy birthday. So.
Absolutely.
But we're going to have a little video at the end. Don't forget about going to the website and doing your vote for the zoo.
Yes.
And don't forget Classic Auto Detail,
Yes.
Fort Worth Memories Museum and Group. And Larry, you're a great American, and you know we sure wouldn't be sitting here having this show if it wasn't for you. And we appreciate you so much. What
We
you do
say
for
all the time we should have done it 10 years ago.
we should have, but it's a real honor to be able to be down here with you, and thank you for all you do for not just our veterans, but for Fort Worth and Tarrant County, and all the ways you reach out to the community. And thank
and
you
it's
for that.
political season, so
I know.
I've got
You're
all
gonna
of
be
them
busy.
coming on.
You're going to be, the filing was over the 19th, I think, for the city. So we
We
know
had
who,
some late filings, and
we know who's going to be running and
yeah,
who's not going to be running.
who's hot and who's not.
But roll call is this Friday. It's completely filled up. We'll announce next month, the few days before or whenever the reservation line goes, because it's the hottest ticket in town.
Yep. Your reservation early.
Yeah.
Hey, and one other thing before we go. Y'all out there listening, while it's fresh on your mind, if you've got memorabilia from military or from just history, get a hold of us.
Yeah.
I mean, you got stuff in your closets that you've looked at 100 times, and like I say, it'll be an exception if your kids keep it.
Yeah.
The
And-
rule of thumb is dumpster.
You know, not just like memorabilia, like uniforms and stuff, but there's a lot of letters that these
Letters,
service
yes.
people wrote during the wars.
Yes.
You know, I've got a whole stack of letters that my father wrote to his parents, and then I've got the letters that I wrote whenever I was in the military, and Sue wrote whenever she was in the military. So
And people think that's personal to me, but really, when your loved one's gone, you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Let somebody else see that stuff, because it's special. When we quit keeping our history, we're done. I
We
can tell
are.
you.
Amen.
You know, so we need to honor those. That's a way of honoring your loved one, your grandfather, your great grandfather. You know, I've talked to people that right here in Fort Worth that their family, their loved one trained at Camp Bowie. That was 1917, and then the family just stayed here, and now this is the third or fourth generation since, and they've got stuff from Camp Bowie. And I said, you know, you should give it to somebody where other people can enjoy it, because they
absolutely.
do.
Right.
So anyway, another great show.
Another good show, and we hope that gives you a little better insight as to what roll call is all about. And remember, you can go to roll-call.org, and that's our website. You can see events that are coming up, and there's also a donation page.
$1,000 donations.
$1,000, $10, help feed some veterans.
Yeah, because really that's a way you can help, and you don't have to leave your office to do it.
Yeah,
Nope.
and it's.
But you can.
But you
Come
can.
to the luncheon. Just click the blue RSVP
That's
button.
right. Well, this is Rick, Mary, Larry, and Roy, and Tyler back there on the board. We had a little glitch early on with some sound. We were trying to play that live over here, but we worked around that
This ain't
technology.
Channel 8 or Channel
right.
5, so
We'd all be fired.
we're lucky to get these shows on the air. But
Tyler's going to end the show today with another roll call video that tells a little bit more, and then we'll see you all next week. So Tyler, let
It's your
that
show.
roll.
It's like magic happens at a luncheon. The vets walk in the door, they get served a meal. You'll see veterans that walk in the door and they've never shared their story before, but you put them at a table with 7 other veterans and they start talking about what they did and where they served.
The purpose of roll call is to honor and serve our veterans. I've been active in roll call for about 4 years now. Oh, it's a family, absolutely.
I love roll call. It's a great thing, just meeting these guys and talking.
You know, we have a time where veterans can meet one another and talk over old experiences, and I can share my feelings with them.
Our big event is our monthly luncheon where we serve all of the veterans, but we do so much more.
They spend time helping them physically, transportation.
We make sure to get them out there so that they can tell their stories. We take them to schools, we take them to memorial dedications, civic events, anywhere they're invited, we take them. We also do home visits. We'll visit them at rehabs, hospitals, in their homes.
I was having a tough time. Roll call helped me tremendously.
Especially during COVID, we could not really go visit them the way that we had visited before. So we would do drive-by birthdays, and the veterans just absolutely love it.
I think the real primary purpose of roll call is so that veterans can find a place where they won't feel so lonely. You're not lonely when you go there.
It's a great organization. It brings people together.
If it sounds like something that you're at all remotely interested in, we encourage you to reach out to us at info@roll-call.org, or you can go to our website at roll-call.org. It's just that easy.